Okay, so I haven't made a video in a while, and fixing to run out and do a couple of things, but I want to take a minute and do a video. So I don't know about y'all, but I do not like a bully, whether it is an adult or a child. And unfortunately, right now, I am dealing with, and have been dealing with for a while, a child who is being a bully to not one, but two of my children. And now I'm dealing with an adult who thinks he can be a bully to me. No. And this is at school. So, just kind of to give you a story here and real quick. My 10-year-old, Lucas, has autism. And that is not a crutch. Sorry, nose ring back in. That's not a crutch. That is, in his mind, how I've always told him I've never told him he is disabled. He is special. And autism makes him super. It gets his superpower. And it makes him different than other children. And he has what's called hyperlexia. So he can read and comprehend above grade level. And if it's something he's really interested in, he can read very well and comprehend very easily above his grade level. So he is different. And he is a little quirky, and at that age, kids are going to pick on him. He's a January baby, so he's behind a year in school, and then we kept him back a year, so he's behind 2 years in school. So where most 10-year-olds are 4th or 5th grade, he's in 3rd grade. And he tells me the kids call him weird and disgusting. And to me, that's just bad home training. You don't call another kid names like that, especially when you know that he's got a disability. That makes them rude little children. But we've had a bully since day one of kindergarten. So if you look at this is kindergarten, because we repeated kindergarten. 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. Because this little boy repeated 1st grade. So we've been dealing with this kid for 5 school years. This is our 5th school year. And when my 1st grader started kindergarten, he realized, oh, that's Lucas's little brother, so I'm going to bully him too. And every year, when the kids come home, tell me something's happened, call the school and tell the principal. Principal looks at the little boy and goes, can't do that. Really? This kid has stabbed one of Lucas's friends with a fork when they were in kindergarten. Drew blood. Didn't do nothing about it. Stood up on a table in kindergarten screaming F you. Not F you, but use the actual word. The beginning of this year, I'm skipping a whole lot of years because there's a whole lot more story to that. Beginning of this year, in the lunchroom, he was going off on Cooper, my 1st grader. Lucas got up from his table because they all have lunch at the same time. Stepped between the two of them and said, I'd appreciate it if you don't talk to my brother like that. The little boy looked at Lucas and said, F you and F your little brother too. Again, using the actual word, and flipped them both the bird. Lucas turned around and looked at Cooper and said, Cooper, go sit down at your table. Lucas looked at the other little boy and walked away, left him standing there. Called the principal. Principal talked to the little boy, said, "You can't do that." Called the little boy's mom, said, "He can't do that." Nothing else. In November, the little boy slapped Lucas in the face, bruising the cartilage of his ear, right about in here, and leaving a bruise right here on his face. Now, the school will deny that, but I have pictures in their school cafeteria. He got suspended for a few days. Came back to school. Did something to another student and got in-school suspension for a day. I got an order of protection. And under that order of protection, the boys can't talk to each other. Lucas and the other boy. They can't look at each other. They can't touch each other. Since I've gotten that order of protection, this boy has made contact, verbally talked to my child on the playground. He has cornered him in the bathroom, and he has, in the mornings, followed him around outside the school with a group of little boys making threats to him. School hasn't done anything about it. Now, according to the order of protection, the first time he made any verbal contact with my child, he was supposed to be suspended. And the second offense, he was supposed to be expelled. They did the same thing they've always done. You can't do that. So why did I get the order of protection if they're not going to do what the order of protection is there for? Now, when they're inside the school where he knows he can get in trouble, he goes after my 7-year-old. He has threatened to slit my 7-year-old's throat and shoot him. The principal's just like, okay. When I went to him, it was like, oh well. And I said, I need you to fix this. And I said, I don't want to take it outside of the school again, because to get the order of protection, I had to go to a department of the school board. And he looked at me and he smiled and he said, if you go to the school board again, they're just going to come back to me. And I said the first thing that came out of my mind, or it came to my mind, which was, who said I'm going to go to the school board? And I walked out of his office. And I've had to go back to the school board. I went through the school board. I called his boss. I called the Division 2 seat on the school board. None of these people have called me back. I called the guy who originally put forth the order of protection. He didn't call me back. I sent these people emails. Nobody's returned my calls. I had to call the mayor of our county, and he had, and somebody from his office had to send emails for somebody to call me back. It's been a week pleading my case to people. And I still don't know what's going to happen. And this boy is still at the school and can still cause harm to my children if he wants to. Because there's no metal detectors. There's no checking of backpacks. And I don't know what the school's plan is from a week ago when I talked to the principal, because he hasn't sent home a letter. Monday when I had my IEP meeting, he didn't stop and talk to me. He didn't even make eye contact with me. He didn't even acknowledge that I was in the room. As far as I know, my kids' lives are still in danger. At least my 7-year-old's is. Because this boy's threatened people in the past and followed through with it. I've now begged 2 people in high-ranking positions to please check into this boy's life. Because I'm not just scared for my kids, but I'm scared for this little boy too. These are big red flags that there's something going on in his life and he needs some help too. I'm not just advocating for my child, I'm advocating for him too. I doubt there's many parents that would advocate for their kids bullying. I think every kid deserves the right to have this great future. And he does too, just like my kids do. Somebody needs to make sure that he gets that great life. I just want... I don't even care if I don't know. I just want somebody to do something for these 3 kids. My 2 and this other little boy. I mean, they all 3 deserve the same rights. And I don't know what's going on in this other kid's life. I really don't. I don't know if this is just how he is. I don't know if there's something going on in his home. I don't know. But it's worth telling somebody, hey, look into it, please. Because one way or another, he needs some help. And the principal has told me that I need to get a safety transfer for my children. Lucas has autism. Lucas has seizures. And from where I live, if they follow protocol, I will get to the school before an ambulance will. And I'm a nurse. That's what I went to school for. I may act now, but I'm a nurse. And I can be there before an ambulance. I can take care of my kid. And I can make that call on what to do for him as his parent and as a nurse. And I've been told by one of the people that I talked to that because the principal told me that I need a safety transfer, that's now off the table because they can't just offer you one option. So, and my children aren't the only children that are being bullied by this child. There are, according to the principal, they've sent him home on several occasions because he has bullied several other children. Just got to tell you something. If they can find a better school for my children to go to, can they find a better school for this child to go to where there's a principal who deals with issues with children with behavioral issues? Because I think that's what this child needs. And that's not what this principal does. I mean, from what I've been told, he has a special education background. He can deal with children who have special needs, as far as like special needs like what my child has, like autism or Down syndrome or those kind of things. I just don't understand how you can let the same little boy run over children year after year after year and not do anything about it. And then when a parent finally becomes aggressive in trying to get help for their children, you get upset with them. It's not how it works. Because I've been passive for the last 4 school years and had faith in this principal that he's going to take care of it. And this year, I've aggressively searched out help for my children outside of the school, and the principal's gotten pretty darn upset about it. Because the 5'2" little redhead got upset and took matters into her own hands and decided it's time. It's time that I looked out after my children and not let you do it because you are not doing a good enough job. And I'm not going to stop until my children are properly protected in our school system. And not just my children. My children are not the only ones that need to be properly protected in our school system. Not with the way things are going in this day and age. So don't be afraid to tell your kids to tell an adult if they're being bullied. Don't be afraid to stand up for your children who are being bullied. Don't be afraid to tell your kids not to be a bully. Put your foot down. Because there is no reason that we should be bullying each other, that we should be mean to each other because of race, or because somebody wears glasses, or because somebody's different because of a disability. Those days are over, y'all. Those days are long gone. We as a human race should be working together to help each other and be there for each other. This is 2018. This is not 1940 something. This is not the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. This is 2018. Get a grip on life. Teach your children how to treat each other with respect. Teach your children how to help somebody that's disabled. Teach children how to work with somebody that doesn't quite look like them. Because this doesn't matter. Because on the inside, we're all the same. Because if you need blood, a bag of blood is the same from everybody. If you need blood, you're not going to be able to tell what it looks like if they hand you 3 bags of blood and ask you which one comes from somebody that looks like you. You won't know. You're just going to want the blood that matches your type, or that works with your type of blood. If you need a heart transplant, you're going to want the one that matches you. Doesn't matter who it comes from. It's time to get a grip. It's time to stop bullying. It's time to stop treating people different because they're a different color than you, or a different race than you, or because they look different than you, or because they're in a wheelchair, or because they have autism, or because they have Down syndrome. Because you're hurting people. It's time to stop being a bully to people because they're different. And it's time to start loving and caring for people because they're part of the human race.